Alrighty. Good morning, everybody. In case you're not aware, you're attending a session on Zoho Creator's AI features. So hopefully you're registered for the right thing and showed up to the right place for it. We're going to go ahead and get started now. I'm sure we'll have a few people trickling in a couple of minutes. Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple quick instructions on how to kind of navigate this. If this is your first time attending a Zoho webinar on Showtime, this is a product that we build and we sell. So if you want to host your own webinars for your customers, you can use it too. If you haven't noticed already, you're on mute. That means you can talk and your dog can bark and nobody's going to hear you. And so you won't be unmuted. Everything's going to be communicated through the chat windows on the left-hand side. And so there's two tabs on the left. There's one called questions and there's one called chat. As you can imagine, the usage gets a little bit mixed up. Chats are obviously just for interactive communication, and questions are things that we'll answer specifically. So if you have a question on, does this feature do this, or is it possible to do this, that's something that you probably pop into questions. And so jumping right into the presentation here, I already went over the housekeeping stuff. Let's do a little bit of intro on the speakers. I am Tejas. I'm the guy on the left-hand side. And I've been at Zoho for about 8 years, and I work on developer stuff, so Creator and other developer products that Zoho handles, and I talk to customers, figure out what they want, and hopefully we try to build it and make things easier for them. Ajit, he's on our pre-sales team, so he talks to customers who are checking out Creator for the first time and need some help kind of navigating the water. So he's about as professional as it gets when it comes to understanding the product inside and out and knowing all the crazy things you can build in there, and is really a pro and can answer any question about the product that you really need. And so I'll do a couple slides real quick on some high-level AI stuff that we do at Zoho, and then I'll pass it over to Ajit right away just so we can get into the demonstration part and you can see it live in action inside the product. And so at a high level, Zoho as a company has been around for about 25 plus years, and we've been working on AI stuff for about 10 years now. And one big thing about our AI is that it's all built in-house. And so for non-technical people, why is this important to you? And for technical people, you might appreciate this. But for everybody, one of the major reasons this is important is because a lot of times when you use other services AI features, they're probably talking to a company like Google or Microsoft or Amazon and using their AI features and pawning it off inside their product as their own. And what that means is all of your data that you're putting in that application is being sent off to this third-party service that's then analyzing it and tracking it, and then obviously makes some suggestions or does some AI analysis on it based on that. But at Zoho, because everything is built in-house, that data doesn't go anywhere. We don't use customer data to build our AI models. And so privacy is really important here because ultimately all AI is you take a bunch of data and you analyze it and you try to map out, predictive trends and stuff like that, if you're going to simplify it at the most basic level. And so in order to do that, you need a lot of data. And who best to get data from is generally customers. But that's not something we do here. So privacy is important to us. And a lot of people always ask questions about this during presentations that we do. So I like to bring it up right off the beginning. And so I'll show you a couple quick examples here that we do and kind of how AI works in general in the Zoho world. So if you're not familiar with Zoho already, from a broader level, we make about 45 different business applications. Pretty much every aspect of a business and the software that you would need for it, we make an application for it. So right now on the screen, you're seeing our help desk application called Zoho Desk, which manages customer tickets and chats and kind of customer support for your organization. And so here in a customer support example, you would imagine that when you get emails coming in from customers, you'd probably want to know if that email is going to be a happy email or a sad email, and maybe run some reports based on the amount of positive, negative emails you get. And so the sentiment analysis concept that was built into customer support originally for that specific use case is how that AI feature gets started, and then eventually we'll bring it out and expose it at the creator level where people who are building their own custom applications can take advantage of something we've built for another use case. And so I'll give you a quick, I would say, I can't fit it all on a single slide, but this is just, I would say, the top stuff that we're working on in terms of AI work at Zoho. And so you can see we do a lot of different stuff and it gets very technical very quickly, but some of these things you'll probably be able to pick out and understand very easily. Um, OCR, so object character recognition, I'll talk about here in a little bit second. NLP in the top right corner is natural language processing. So taking a text of or a sentence and being able to understand, the main components of it and providing information based on that. Data cleaning, as you can imagine, cleaning up data and making it organized and proper and formatted and all that kind of stuff. Object detection, everyone should be pretty familiar with. You point your camera at something and we'll determine if it's an object and what kind of object it is. And so we do a bunch of different AI work at Zoho. And the one I'll show you a quick example about is going to be, I already showed you the sentiment analysis one, slides got a little bit mixed up, but the OCR one is the one I'll show you a little bit here before. So just like the desk example I talked about earlier, this is our application on the right-hand side called Zoho Expense. And so you scan receipts and it automatically takes all the information from the receipt and creates an expense. And so you can submit an expense report very easily and someone approves it and you get your money back, or it goes against your corporate card or whatever. But this scanning of a receipt and pulling pieces of information out is basically OCR for that application. And so slide got duplicated here, but that receipt scanning actually contains a bunch of different AI features here. And so object detection means we have to detect the actual object, the outline of the receipt, and make sure we know the size of it and all the content that's there. The OCR is going to get the characters out of there, so we get the numbers and the text and all that. And then there's parsers, so we know basically what's a line item, what's a total, what's a tax, what's the location of the receipt, the phone number, the name of the business, all that kind of stuff. And then we classify all that information that we get into different categories like vendor name, total amount, tax, time of day, all that kind of stuff automatically gets pulled out. And so inside of that OCR piece, even further, there's a lot of different pieces that go into it. And so something like skew analysis, which is basically the angle at which you hold the camera and does the receipt get pulled in as a proper square or rectangle, basically. Localization, so European receipts look different than American receipts, and even American receipts will look 10 different ways depending on the restaurant or the store you go to. So understanding all of those and classifying them and making it easier. So as you can imagine, AI is just very complicated. It's what I'm really getting at, long story short. But we do a lot of work on it and it goes into some of our products, but ultimately we want people to be able to build applications that take advantage of these AI tools that we have built. And so exposing them to developers via Creator is an easy way to be able to take advantage of these AI things. And you as a developer don't have to worry about all the technical details that I just talked about and probably bored some of you to death with. But basically, you can just know that you can use it out of the box, drag and drop a field that Ajit is going to show in a little bit, and take advantage of it in your application. And so all this is basically powered by something that we call Zia. And Zia is our AI assistant, if you will, across the Zoho platform. So a lot of the features in Creator or across Zoho products are going to be referred to as Zia. That just basically means that's some AI feature that's doing something smart and pretty powerful and hopefully provides you with a good level of insight into whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. And so that's kind of just AI at a high level. As you can imagine, you joined the session, so you know AI is kind of important already. And it can definitely make your applications a lot more productive and give you better insights into them. And that's going to be a little bit more about what Ajit is going to show. And so I'm going to pass the mic over to Ajit in the presentation real quick. And so he can show his screen. So let me do this real quick.
Yes, Tejas. Thank you for that and good morning all. So let's start a demonstration with respect to Zoho Creator. So as you all know that Zoho Creator is a low-code platform. So from low-code platform, we are going to the AI functionalities. So we do a main key 5 functionalities inside Zoho Creator. And these 5 fields are prediction, keyword extractor, and sentiment analysis, and OCR and object detection. So let us start one by one on how each fields work inside Zoho Creator. So the prediction field would be the first field over here. And this prediction field obviously uses Zoho artificial intelligence as referred by Tejas, which helps us to analyze the future outcoming records inside Zoho Creator. So based on the existing records inside the application, you will be able to predict a data or outcome inside application. It basically uses a machine learning language to create a model that's capable of predicting a field. And this function mainly requires 2 fields, and starting with first one would be the target field where the prediction would work, and the next one would be the predictor field where the prediction methodologies and algorithm works. So I'll just quickly demonstrate side by side how each of these field would work on. So let's start creating an application from scratch for now. So it'll basically be an event management where the entire event management process can be controlled using AI fields. So just let me just quickly create an app. So so once the application has been done, we have been received into the form builder part. So right away, let's start creating few fields, and then we could start implying the prediction field over them. So we'll create the registration form in the initial stage. So the registration form is being done, and let's start creating few basic fields. As you guys all know, Creator has nearly 35 plus built-in fields. So any of the random fields which is required, you guys could drag and drop into it. So basically, we'll drag three basic fields, which has name, email, and phone number. You could rename these fields, or you could leave it by default. And now we start working on the predictor fields and the target fields. The first field, what we're going to choose is the type of event which that particular participant wish to participate. So let's provide a name for it as type of event. And we could provide the choices over here. Let's say we have it as a deluge scripting. The next one would be AI based training. And let's lastly keep it as form and reports training. So this will be the first field. The next field over here would be the whether the particular participant is a developer or not. So we could just shoot out a quick question: are you a developer? Because you see, for developer the session would be different, and for a newbie it would be different. And you could just provide basic questions as yes and no. And next one would be is that if this particular session they need to have a seat pre-booked or not, we could just have one more drop down for same. We could just show out one more field as seat booking. Because if they want to book a seat or book a number of seats, you could again provide these options for them. So based on these three fields, now we are going to apply the main predictor field. So as I discussed previously, the predictor field required a certain amount of data previously inside the application so that they will be able to predict the outcome of that particular record. So right now we just drag and drop a predictor field over here. So and we can provide a name for this particular field. Let me say it as attendance for now. We just proceed next, and then the first field is a target field, the field which needs to be predicted of it, the field which needs to be predicted by the AI system itself. So right now we'll just choose the seat booking application, whether they want to have a seat booking done, whether their presence would be quite 100% sure, whether they wouldn't be available. And once that's done, you could proceed further with the predictor fields, where you'll be able to provide the required field based on which the prediction works. So right now the prediction would work as that if that particular participant would be deluge based trainee, and if he's a developer, obviously the amount of chances of his occurrence or his presence on that session would be quite sure. So like this, there are multiple permutations and multiple calculation algorithm works at the back end, and then the required value would be populated at the last stage. And now next comes to the last stage, that is if you want, you could apply this field for all records or for a specific set of records. So for now for the demo purpose, we could keep it as all records. If you want, you could even specify conditions on which records you want to display these fields. And now we could click on next, and you'll have a summary of all the fields that's been selected till now, what are the predicted value and what are the fields that's been kept for predicting, and whether it's been applied for all records or whether it's applied for a certain set of records. And the moment you click on add prediction field, that particular field would be applied and the model training process will be initiated. Now this particular field to provide the required data, this particular training should have to be completed. So for that particular stage, I have created an initial prediction value over here where the accuracy has already been done, and the training is also be completed. So right now I could just demonstrate you over here how this particular field would run on the attendance part. So we could just provide a basic registration part over here, that event ID, and that information based on which the registration needs to be done. And over here, you could choose whether what language is been initiated, which date, or what's the timing duration his session has been booked, and whether he wants to book a seat or not, he'll be able to book it over here. And the last question or not, if he's a developer or not. Based on all these fields, the calculation would be done, and then the AI would be able to provide you the required output whether that particular participant would make it to the session or not. So this particular field is not just meant for this, it can be used for various business verticals. For example, if you have order management and if you want to predict what date that particular product is going to get delivered, you can have various permutations on the prediction field. That is the location where the product needs to be delivered, the type of product which the customer is being um, booking. So based on all the existing record, the system would run a machine language, and based on which the prediction would be applied. So let's proceed to the next field. And these are the both fields which I was referring. The target field is the one that helps you to provide the required data where the prediction should happen, and the predictor field basically works on AI based, and it should have various fields to predict the outcome of a particular event. So prediction field basically works on number, decimal, percentage, currency, as well as other multi-line and options over here. So next comes the keyword extractor field, where you will be able to extract a keyword from a chunk of data. So keyword extraction helps you to pick up a word from a huge chunk of text or from an individual text. And this word is uniquely meant for single line and multi-line purpose. And right now we are supporting this particular AI field in the English for English language. So let's see how this particular field on the keyword extraction works. So as I say, both single line field and multi-line field can be used for the keyword extraction. For right now, let me just use a multi-line field over here. And let's say over this registration form itself, you could get the expectation of the customer, what kind of expectation they want to have over here. So let's start creating an expectation field. Over here, we have actually provided a expectations multi-line field. So right now, we could go and imply the required keyword extraction AI field over here. So this is the keyword extraction field. We'll just drag and drop the required field over here, and it will be navigating you towards the source field, where you will have to choose what field needs to be mapped to this particular keyword extraction. Right now, we have an expectation field created, and you could click on add field, so that that particular field would be utilized for the keyword extraction process. So the keyword extraction has been done. So if you want to see how this works in the live mode, we could just access that in the live mode and see how this would work. So during the event registration process, all the basic fields, let us say all the basic fields are filled. So over the expectation part, let's say the particular participant want to choose the required expectation, what needs to be done. So let's say he says that he wants to understand how deluge works. So the keyword extraction fields helps you to finalize the keywords from it. It is not just one particular word where the keyword can be extracted, even though it's a chunk of text or if it's a feedback form, all those fields you'll be able to analyze the exact keywords what the particular client or the particular end user is trying to convey. So that in turn saves a lot of time, because you need not run through each and every line inside a text and extract the keywords from it. So coming to the next part is a sentiment analyzer field, where you could predict the sentiment of a particular customer's feedback or on a particular way. As they just showcased you on a Zoho text, now we'll be showcasing you how the sentiment analyzer field works inside Zoho Creator. So for that, let's quickly build one more form so that we could see how a feedback form has been done. So let's say after the registration, after the webinar has been conducted, there would be a feedback sent to the clients to understand what would be the further expectation or how the webinar has been conducted or the session. So let me just quickly create one more form and just create a form called feedback. And over here, we could right away just have a relationship between the existing form, what we have done. so that the information from that particular client or the particular database would be displayed. So we choose the registration form and we choose what field that needs to be displayed from that particular table. You could choose name for now, and whether it should be a drop down radio, all those options can be chosen accordingly. And over here you could provide a name for it. Now again, this particular field too works on both single line field as well as multi-line field. So let me quickly drag and drop a multi-line field and just keep it as feedback. And once the multi-line field has been done, you'll be able to apply the sentiment analyzer. It's not just the name is required. All the fields from that particular registration form can be pushed inside this field using the lookup field. As of now, we just have the multi-line field, and now we are going to use sentiment analysis AI field over here. So over here, we have mapped that particular field, and you'll be able to choose what particular field has to be mapped as source field. So we now right now have a multi-line field as feedback. So we'll be able to add that field over here. And then if you want, if you could just see how this would work in the live mode too. Right now, just let me just quickly add required data on it and submit the data. So inside the feedback form, you'll be able to choose that particular customer's name. And over here, you'll be able to provide the feedback whether that particular session was interactive or not. So let's say that um, you'll be able to get the sentiments right away over here. So this can be used for various multiple businesses like a customer support based industry, or maybe for any business service you could provide a feedback form to them by publishing this particular form inside Zoho Creator. And based upon the feedbacks and sentiments you have, you'll be able to create interactive dashboards so that you'll be able to understand what's the current stage of your business, whether your clients and customers are happy or whether they're not happy. You do have three stages in it, whether it could be neutral, positive, or negative. So all those feedbacks can be viewed over here. And as I told, this field also mainly works on single line and multi-line fields. And the main algorithm that's been based on this particular application also uses Zoho artificial intelligence as been told. And for the both sentiment analyzer field as well as the keyword extraction field, that particular field would be disabled in the live mode, and you could configure that both fields would not be displayed for the end user, which will be displayed only for the admin as well as for the application owner. So you could configure that field properties accordingly. And now comes the OCR part, where you'll be able to have an optical character recognition using this particular field. So the OCR field basically enables you to extract a text from the image by making use of an optical character recognition. And this particular field is basically implied on JPEG, JPG, and PNG images. The source field of the OCR field is an image field. Basically, it basically requires image field quite mandatory to apply this OCR character, because the image has to be stored in the image field based on which the OCR works. And the OCR field source cannot be reconfigured once it's been fixed. If you want, you could create a new OCR field itself, or you could delete the existing one and create a new one. So let us see how the OCR works inside Zoho Creator. So let us now have we have two forms. The first form would be the event registration, and next is the feedback form. Let us say there's a check-in process that's going to happen on the particular day of the session. So we create a last form over here, and let us say we'll have a name it as register event check-in. Again, the same process, you will be able to have a lookup within the existing table. So right now we'll just have the same method where you'll be having all the list of participants from the registration part. We choose the name and we click on done. It's not just the name. If you want, even you could even map the required email ID to right away from this particular field, so that you will have a much more complete package when it comes to check-in. The next part would be the date and time field, where on which particular time that particular uh, participant is getting registered over here. So right now what needs to be done is that you need to have an OCR field, so that you will be able to scan the event entry ID card, so that you'll be able to get the required informations from that particular field. So let us quickly drag and drop image field and provide a name for it. We have created the required image field, and now we are going to apply the OCR field. So the OCR field can be dragged and dropped inside the form over here. And right now we have one particular image field, so it's by defaultly been mapped, or else you could choose on what particular field you want the OCR to be implied, and we could choose add field. So the OCR field has been mapped over here based upon the copy of the ID card which is going to be scanned in the initial level. So let's go to the live mode over here and see how that particular OCR field works. So let's say the same participant is going to come for that particular session, and the email ID and that particular participant name has been displayed, and you'll be able to check in what date that particular time he want to scan. And this comes the main part. So over here he'll be in the registration part, he'll be able to showcase his particular ID proof or ID card to the particular check-in person. They'll be able to scan that particular image via phone using the mobile camera feature, or if it's going to be a registration via web, they'll be able to use that particular image field and upload that image back to this particular field, so that this particular field would be mapped, and then the required information would be fetched inside the app. This might take a minute so that the required field would be mapped accordingly. So right now you see you'll be able to get the required institute from which he's going to make it to the session, and the name, the roll number, and which branch that particular participant is working on. All those things would be automatically fetched from that particular image. This saves a huge time because the manual entry of which participant is coming, from which institute is coming, and what are the roll number, registration, all those things would be quite complex to get. And as Mr. Tejas referred in the previous sessions, you will be able to even scan a invoice copy, or maybe you will be able to scan a bill receipt or a travel allowance part, where just a click of an image, all those informations would be extracted using OCR field, and then that would be pushed inside the application. From there, you'll be able to create complex deluge applications where the approval process or maybe the reduction process, all those things can be proceeded further from there. So let's come down to the last field over here, which is going to be the object detection field. That is, you see the object detection field determines which object presents inside the picture stored in the field, whether the particular image is a billing section, or whether the particular device is, or whatever the object that's been present inside the image field. All those things can be easily extracted and displayed inside the field. Based upon that field, you'll be able to push those images from this field to various modules. So let's see how this would work. And this particular field to basically uses Zoho artificial intelligence to identify what type of objects present inside that image. So let me say inside the check-in process, you do have a scanning part where which kind of devices that particular participant is going to make it inside the session, whether he's going to bring his laptop or whether he's going to bring his mobile. So for that, we'll have one more scanning option. Let us just drag and drop the image field inside the form builder.
Hey,
and
Ajit, real
provide
quick, can you slow it down a little bit?
the accessories. Which accessories he's going to make it inside the application or inside the session, you'll be able to scan. And as this is going to be a mobile based application too, you'll be able to enable this particular mobile option where the camera would be displayed each time you click on that field, and you'll be able to scan that particular accessories what that participant is bringing for the session. And let's use the last field, object detection, over here. So right now we do have two fields. So on which field you want that particular object detection to work, you'll be able to map it for that particular field, and you'll be able to add that field inside the live mode. So again, you could refresh and come back and see what can be the object detection field helps you. So same way you'll be able to add a particular student. You will be choosing which date he works on. The last part comes over here where you'll be able to import it right away using a mobile based camera, or you'll be able to import it directly inside that particular application. So right now I have a laptop based image stored inside my app. So let me see how that particular image is getting detected using this image field. So once this image field is being uploaded to this particular field, the AI over here recognizes that particular image as a laptop. So right now it's not just the devices. You could hard code it to any of the business scenarios. If you're going to hard code it for a delivery purpose, what is the product that's been delivered? You could just simply click on a button. You'll be able to scan that particular product, and that particular product name would be displayed, so that the manual process would be reduced halfly using this particular field. So basically, these are the 5 fields what Zoho Creator offers in as an AI fields, and this particular functionalities are not restricted towards this basic 3 fields. We do have the deluge based AI fields too, which helps you to create complex AI based integration. So right now I'll have individual AI based components which helps you to understand how deluge tasks work. So these are the two deluge tasks that's been hard coded. So this particular deluge task helps you to recognize what language that particular um, text what we're going to enter has been entered, whether the particular language belongs to English, whether it belongs to Portugal. All those language can be automatically detected, and then it would be provided as an output to you, so that you will be able to understand what language that particular end user has been working on. So this is basically a custom function, and we have just declared one particular field where you will be able to receive the input, and you'll be able to showcase how this would work. So let me just quickly click on execute, and you'll be able to provide one particular language. So the moment we click on submit, you'll be able to get an output on this. So each of these key fields are mapped inside Zoho Creator Artificial Intelligence. So MT recognizes to France. So if it's going to be Portugal, it'll be referred as PO, and all those informations are readily available at the backend. So in the live scenario, based upon the information you receive over here, you will be able to perform a comparison based on which that particular language will be detected, and you could display the same inside a particular field if required, or you'll be able to showcase that towards the internal organization to know what language that particular customer is comfortable with. And the last but not the least, one more field is that I wish to showcase you. Last field over inside Zoho Artificial, it's called the address parsing field, where a chunk of addresses would be quite complex for system to analyze. What is city's name, or what is the location that particular customer lives on. So we do have an integration task over here called Zoho.ai parse address, where you will be able to provide a chunk of address data into it, and the system would recognize and give it to you what is the location that particular comes in, which city he belongs to, or maybe which country he belongs to. So let us quickly have an address for the same. So we just have this address field copied, and we click on execute. You'll be able to provide this particular information over here, and you'll be able to generate the address information fast inside Creator. So you'll be able to understand which particular city he belongs to, or which country he belongs to. All those things can be done. So basically, we have 5 different AI-based deluge tasks like address parsing, phone number parsing, and we have other fields like language detection, sentiment analysis, and so on, which should be more optimized for the developers to code it and hard code it, where they will be able to extract whatever functionalities they would want. So basically, these are the key features inside Zoho Creators artificial intelligence field, which helps you to analyze what kind of performance Zoho will be able to provide. So I believe you guys have any questions, it would be quite great to answer. And Tejas would be taking over the session from here.
Thanks, Ajit. It's me again, Tejas. So obviously that was a lot of content to cover. Now you know why we talk so fast. There's just never enough time to cover everything. We will stick around. Technically, the session kind of ended, but we'll stick around for a while. Let's say another like maybe 10 minutes, give or take, in answering questions. This way, if you got to go, we understand, but the questions will be recorded, and you'll get them in the recording too. So it's a win-win for you there. So feel free to plug out the questions through the questions tab. I think we're trying to get through them one by one. Sukanya is answering a good amount of them. Let me go through the chat and see if we have anything else. Can you use OCR for handwritten notes? Yes, you can. Same way. Address parsers work with OCR. Yeah, that works too. Same way. Brent asked, can Deluge be used to build language translations? Technically, Deluge, not so much, but it can kind of be. I would assume you're maybe using the language detection field, detecting the language, and then wanting to translate whatever language it came in back to English, for example. That's totally doable through Deluge, just not only in Creator itself. You would have to connect to like Google Translate API and get the translated value back at it. One person asked if OCR content can be displayed in an HTML page. Yeah, the OCR content exists as a field in the form. So when you make a page, you can reference that field and then pick and choose the information you want to have displayed there. If I didn't get your question so far, we'll still have a transcript of the question, so I'll be able to get back to you with the question and answer afterwards. Yeah, well, everybody who attended the webinar will get $100 in Zoho wallet credits, basically. And so the email will have the details on how it works and everything like that. I sent out a link in the chat so you can just understand the wallet program in general. But basically, they're credits that you can use to apply and check out other Zoho applications. For those of you that stuck around, we appreciate it. We really hope you fill out the survey thing. It'll tell us what topics to cover in the next future sessions, what topic we should spend some more time on, what topics you guys want to see that we haven't covered. And so that'll help us obviously create more content for you guys to learn stuff. So if you don't tell us, we don't really know. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great rest of the day and stay safe out there. So that's all for us for right now. We'll get to the questions and stuff as they keep coming in. But yeah, that's it. We'll sign off for now. Thanks so much again for coming.